I arrived late on purpose. That was my first mistake, or maybe my first accommodation of the weekend. The driveway was already full, minivans angled like they'd always belonged there, bikes tossed sideways against the cedar fence I'd paid to replace last spring. I stood with my keys in my hand longer than necessary, listening to the sound carry from the water, shrieks, the slap of feet on the dock, someone calling for sunscreen. The house had that lived-in summer smell, wet towels, citrus cleaner, something sweet melting somewhere it shouldn't. The screen door sighed when I opened it, and no one turned around. They were mid-routine. My sister's voice floated from the kitchen, narrating a story I'd heard before. My mother laughed on cue. The kids ran through, dripping, leaving commas of water across the floor. I put my bag down by the stairs and waited for someone to notice. Eventually my sister did. She smiled the way people do when they believe they're being generous. "Hey," she said, quick hug, already turning back. "We were just saying, we might need to keep things a little calmer this weekend. The kids have been getting rowdy." She said it like a weather update. Her son leaned against the railing that lines the living room, chocolate ice cream smeared along the glass in a slow, deliberate arc. I watched it slide, leaving a pale trail where the sun caught it. "No one corrected him," I said. It came out neutral, which surprised me. "Okay." The word "R" didn't land until later. At the time, I was still unpacking it. The way you do with a comment that pretends to be small. This house had been mine for 6 years. Not inherited, not shared. Bought with a mortgage that had felt reckless at the time, and now felt like a series of monthly negotiations with my own future. I'd learned the language of dock permits, septic inspections, shoreline rules. I knew which boards warped in August and which windows stuck when the air got thick. But language is contagious. By dinner, it was our place, and we usually and remember when we decided. I corrected nothing. I set the table. I refilled drinks. I wiped the railing clean while the kids were outside, the glass cool under my palm. There is a kind of tolerance that looks like kindness from the outside and feels like erasure from within. I'd practiced it for years. It kept things smooth. It kept holidays intact. It kept my mother from sighing the way she did when she sensed friction. After dinner, as the light softened, I suggested cocktails on the dock. It wasn't a test. It was timing. They brought their glasses down with the confidence of people who expected to be there next summer, and the one after that. My brother-in-law leaned back, shoes off, toes hooked around a plank. My sister tucked her feet under her, content. My mother wrapped a sweater tighter around her shoulders. We watched the sun do what it always did. Lower itself. Turn the water into something you could mistake for permanence. Someone took a photo. Someone said we should do this every year. I waited until the ice clinked itself quiet. "Enjoy this one," I said lightly. "It's the last sunset you'll have here." The sentence was clean. No preamble. No edge. My sister laughed first, assuming a joke she didn't need to understand. Then she looked at me and stopped. "What do you mean?" she asked. I kept my eyes on the water. "The house sold," I said. "New buyers move in 2 weeks." There are moments when authority enters a space so clearly you can feel it change the air. This was one of those moments. It didn't need a document or a raised voice. It needed only recognition. My brother-in-law went pale. Not offended pale. Calculating pale. The kind that comes when someone realizes a plan that assumed was invisible has just been made visible to everyone. My mother dropped her fork. It clattered against the dock, loud in the quiet. She reached for it automatically, then stopped, as if the sound had interrupted something larger than a meal. "You sold it," she said. "Yes? When?" "Closed last week." My sister stared at me, searching for something, anger, apology, and opening. I offered none. "But," she began, then faltered. With thought. "I know," I said. And I did. I'd known for a long time what they thought. I'd let that thinking stand in for consent. The kids were still laughing down by the water, oblivious. The lake didn't care. The sunset finished what it was doing. Questions came then, practical ones, stripped of entitlement. Where would they go next weekend? What about the boat? Could the buyers delay? I answered what was mine to answer, and let the rest fall where it would. I didn't explain my reasons. I didn't recount the years of quiet adjustments, the maintenance paid alone, the way R had slowly replaced your without anyone noticing. Explanations invite debate. Facts end conversations. Later, when the dock was empty and the glasses rinsed, My mother came inside and sat at the table with me. She looked tired in a way that had nothing to do with the day. "You could have told us sooner," she said. "I know." She nodded, accepting that as much as she was able. "You always were the one who waited," she said, not accusing, just observing. That night, the house sounded different. Less like a shared space, more like a room between decisions. I slept well. In the morning, they packed with the efficiency of people recalibrating. Goodbyes were polite. Plans were vague. The kids hugged me, sticky and warm, unaware that anything had shifted beyond their reach. After they left, I walked the dock alone. The boards were cool. The water did what it always did. I didn't feel victorious. I felt aligned. There is a difference. Some things end with reconciliation or rupture. They end with paperwork, with dates circled on calendars, with the quiet knowledge that what was tolerated has finally been named. When the buyers arrive, they will see a house ready for them. Clean lines, clear glass, no ice cream on the railing.